So 2020 is done and dusted, and few will be grieving now that it's gone. A year of strangeness, solitude and sadness for much of the world. It wasn't all bad. I uploaded over 360 videos in 365 days for a start, every one of them bursting at the seams with world-class insight and top-class footballing entertainment. Anyhow, in what must go down as one of the most significant and historic 12-month periods in my lifetime, and I suspect almost all of yours, football went boldly on. I mean, not for a while, but following a couple of months, it came back, albeit in much of the world, without fans in the stadiums. It may have been a rotten year for most, but for some, there was plenty to cheer about. Bayern Munich lifted the Champions League for the third time this century, Liverpool ended their 30-year wait for a Premier League title, and Arsenal managed to put back-to-back wins together before the year was done, leapfrogging Newcastle United and Crystal Palace into 13th place in the Premier League. In light of all these historic achievements, there has, as usual, been all the usual football awards dished out for 2020, with the exception, this year, of the Ballon d'Or. Every one of them duller than the last, I thought I'd take a stab at coming up with something slightly less drab, so I asked you for some alternative award suggestions, and I've tried to collate some of the best ones for today's video. Each award will have an unofficial sponsor, dreamt up by me, so without further ado, let's get started with the Joe Exotic Award for the most mental moment of 2020. This was a category that was rife with competition, from Aston Villa defeating Liverpool 7-2, to a Sunday League player genuinely telling Kaka to cut the ball back to him on a pitch in London before the former World Cup and Ballon d'Or winner thumped the ball into the back of the net with his weak foot. All outstanding candidates, I'm sure you'll agree, but if I'm being honest, the most mental moment in world football in 2020 was probably Bayern Munich beating Barcelona 8-2 across 90 minutes in a Champions League quarter-final. Most people expected Bayern Munich to win the game, possibly even quite handsomely, given Barca's patchy form, particularly during the second half of last season. A routine 3-0 win would have been embarrassing for Barcelona, but largely would have passed without incident. Even a 4-0 win might have been overshadowed by Lyon knocking out Manchester City, but 8-2, never has the half-decade decline of a team been so emphatically exposed on the biggest of stages. Every time Bayern Munich attacked, they looked like scoring, and they really ought to have scored more. To compound matters, Philippe Coutinho, who cost Barcelona somewhere in the region of £37 billion, but spent last season on loan at Bayern Munich, came on as a second-half substitute to make 1 assist and score 2 goals. Talk about adding insult to injury. By the way, I am aware that Philippe Coutinho didn't actually cost £37 billion. I'm exaggerating for effect. I'm sure that most of you got that, but there's always just one person in the comments section who gets really confused. Anyhow, a bizarre game and a result that will forever stick out like a sore thumb in the record books, and I think it is worthy of the Mr. Exotic Award. Next up we have the Cheryl Cole Award for the most embarrassing moment of 2020. And no, it's not going to the mighty Tigers for losing 8-0 to Wigan Athletic. As Barcelona proved in 2020, even the biggest and best footballing institutions on the planet can be well beaten by 8 goals by other titans of the European game, whether that may be Bayern Munich or Wigan Athletic. And just as Barcelona will return to their former greatness within the next decade or two, I've no doubt that the same will be true of Hull City once we rid ourselves of the Assem and Ehab Alam plague. So for now, the Tigers get off scot-free. Just. But the award does go to a team who competed in the 2019-20 Sky Bet Championship campaign, and that team is Birmingham City. Following the no doubt very painful departure of the Blues' highly promising academy graduate Jude Bellingham, Birmingham took the decision to retire Bellingham's shirt number. There are many occasions in which retiring an academy graduate shirt number is totally understandable. AC Milan retired both Franco Baresi and Paolo Maldini's shirt numbers, the two of whom made a combined total of 1,621 appearances for the club. Meanwhile, Budapest Honvéd retired Ferenc Puskás's iconic number 10 shirt following the Hungarian legend's death in 2006. Puskás scored 380 goals in 367 games for Honvéd, where he won 5 league titles across 13 seasons. Jude Bellingham scored 4 goals in 44 games in a single season at Birmingham City, leaving the club a month after he turned 17. The club put up an explanation on their website talking about how Bellingham had become an icon of what can be achieved with hard work and dedication. I don't want to go full Graham Souness or Roy Keane on you, but let's be frank, it's utter nonsense. It's fairly embarrassing and highly cringeworthy. The award is unofficially sponsored by Cheryl Cole, since she believed that thousands of Italians in lockdown were singing Fight for This Love when the pandemic first arrived in Europe, in case there was any confusion. A more serious one up next, since enough of you asked for it, and that is my Matthias Schindler 2020 Player of the Year award. It's no secret that I think Lionel Messi is the best player in world football, and I still think he's the most talented footballer on the planet. That isn't the same thing, though, as being the best player in 2020, and for the first time in many years, I think you could make an excellent case for neither Lionel Messi nor Cristiano Ronaldo having been the best player on the planet in 2020, albeit both have still been superb. When he's been fully fit, Neymar has been absolutely breathtaking for PSG over the last 12 months, and were it not for injuries, I suspect he'd take the crown. For sheer consistency though, and having hardly missed a match, Robert Lewandowski is a deserved winner. One of a number of players whose ridiculous performances and goal-scoring records has been normalised by the existence of Messi and Ronaldo, there is nothing normal about Robert Lewandowski, and to have had his best ever season at 32 years of age is pretty remarkable. He was phenomenal in 2020, and you can expect more of the same in 2021. Back to the stupid world of HITC Sevens, we come to the best HITC Sevens lookalike award in association with anyone with even vaguely long hair. 2020 has seen a slight increase in HITC Sevens videos to camera and a dramatic increase in the number of people you've all told me that I supposedly look like. I ended 2019 with a video charting 7 players I apparently looked like at the time, including the likes of Tom Davies and Antoine Griezmann, but there are a vast array to add to that collection now. Todd Cantwell has remained a consistent comparison throughout, meanwhile Fabio Silva has gained real momentum ever since his club record moved to Wolves and the Irish guy repeatedly saying it, which shows that I have a bit of a baby face, or that he's had a tough 18 years on this planet, given that I'm about to turn 25. Fabio Silva wasn't even the first 18-year-old Wolves signing of 2020 that I was told I looked like, with that title belonging to Rochdale loanee Luke Matheson. There have been many lookalikes, often from TV programmes or films that I haven't even seen, and the most complimentary probably came from Mark, who thought he could see a likeness with the young Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, it says DiCaprio, but I don't know anyone by that name, so I think he meant DiCaprio. The most memorable lookalike, which somehow has cropped up twice from both Helen and Mr. Pistachio, assuming that Cashew is a man's name, is that I look like a young Robert Mugabe. For those of you who don't know, this is what a young Robert Mugabe looked like. And this is what I look like. I know, the resemblance is uncanny. Still, I suppose it's better than being told that you look like an old Robert Mugabe, but I guess that's what I've got to look forward to, should I be fortunate enough not to be cut down in my prime. Moving very swiftly on, I think it's time for the Heinrich Himmler Award for the biggest of 2020, and a reminder that these awards are exclusively available to people from within the world of football. So, a proper creep like Prince Andrew, or deranged murderers like Boko Haram, or those that are even worse than both of the above, like Andrew Lloyd Webber, aren't eligible. There have obviously been some players who have done some stupid things this year, whether it be to do with flagrantly breaking COVID restrictions, or getting into a fight over some gyros in Mykonos. Calm down, it's a joke. I have no idea what really happened in the whole Maguire-Mykonos saga. Anyhow, all were well and truly trumped by a late entry from a familiar turd of the football world. Harry Redknapp is a very wealthy man by almost any reasonable estimate. The internet plucks a figure of £14 million out of thin air, but whatever the reality, he has enough money to live in extreme luxury for the rest of his days, and most likely secure his family for a couple of generations at least. Not that he needs to, given that his son Jamie played for England and is now a regular on Sky Sports, and will advertise anything from lampshades to dildos so long as the price is right. That isn't a criticism of Jamie, by the way. If there are any lampshade or dildo manufacturers out there looking for an endorsement from HITC Sevens, you can contact my agent via WhatsApp. He sounds just like me, but with a muffled high-pitched voice, but I promise you, he's a proper agent with all of the necessary qualifications. Anyhow, back to good old Harry, the Liverpool deadline day rogue who loves to talk about trying to ship Benjani off to Man City and the nepotism that saw him help Frank Lampard get a job at Derby County. Redknapp has had 1 or 2 encounters with the authorities in the past, accused of setting up a bank account in Monaco in his dog's name to hide £200,000 of payments from former Portsmouth chairman Milan Mandrich in the past. Well, more recently, old Harry has made headlines due to his multi-million-pound property development company called Pierfront Developments Limited, which recently began converting accommodation for homeless people in Bournemouth into high-rent flats, according to reports. The plans will allegedly make around 30 people homeless, including a couple in their 80s who have a disabled son, and when questioned about the evictions, Peerfront released one of the most tone-deaf and unsympathetic press releases that you're ever likely to read. I won't get into the nitty-gritty, since this is an alternative awards video, not a documentary, but there's a great article in the New Statesman if any of you want to read more. From a bad news story to a good news story, the next award is the Ignaz Semmelweis Award for the biggest legend in football for 2020, and the winner is quite obviously Sir Marcus Rashford. At the age of 23, Marcus Rashford has already pressured the UK government into 2 U-turns surrounding free school meals for the nation's most impoverished children. Without Rashford's intervention and enormous audience, particularly on social media, which resulted in more than 1 million people signing one of the most popular petitions in the history of the country, it's likely that huge numbers of schoolchildren would have gone hungry outside of term time. Many players have achieved great things on the pitch in 2020, including Rashford himself, who has come on leaps and bounds over the last 12 months, but few have come close to the Englishman's impact off the pitch during that time. Now we come to the Louis Theroux Award for the best HITC Sevens documentary, which some might say should really be in association with Piers Morgan, given how vain it is to include an award about yourself in your own alternative award ceremony. Nonetheless, lots of you asked for it, so I have some degree of justification. There are loads of videos that I thoroughly enjoyed making and getting feedback on from you all in 2020, and as ever, the documentaries are always the highlights, particularly for those of you who subscribe to the channel and tune in on a regular basis. My favourite was probably the documentary about Zaire at the 1974 World Cup, now the Democratic Republic of the Congo of course, entitled The Dark Truth Behind This Iconic World Cup Moment. However, I was also really happy with the documentaries about Evald Mixon entitled The International Footballer Accused of War Crimes, and the one about executed Hungarian legend Sandor Such entitled How Hungary's Government Sabotaged Their Own World Cup Dreams. I was happy with how both of those turned out. All 3 were fascinating to research and received overwhelmingly positive feedback, so they were my personal favourites. Although, I'd love to hear about yours in the comments, and hopefully, we can do plenty more in 2021. Now we come to the Bear Stearns Award for the biggest collapse of 2020. And who else could it be other than Schalke? I mean, in fairness, my own team Hull City probably deserve another honourable mention. We weren't far off the Championship playoff places at the start of 2020, but it was a false position in many respects, given our reliance on Jarrod Bowen. Following the departure of both Bowen and fellow Wyman Kamil Grosicki during the January window, we had a worse year than Ghislaine Maxwell. During the second half of the season, I genuinely believe that we may have been the worst team in the entire history of the Championship, but we sort of semi-bounced back with a half-decent start to the season in League One. The same cannot be said for Schalke, who began 2020 on the cusp of European qualification in the Bundesliga, enjoying a great start to life under David Wagner. A little like Hull City though, the Germans were in a false position, and a heavy defeat to Bayern Munich, twin with a bit of an injury crisis, rapidly saw things unwind at the Veltins Arena. Schalke only won 1 Bundesliga game during the entirety of 2020, way back in January, dropping into the bottom half of the table last season. This season, they appear to be well and truly stranded at the foot of the Bundesliga table with just 4 points from their opening 13 games. To call them a train wreck or a car crash would be an insult to all major transport disasters. And if you'd like to find out more about the club's decline, I have made a video all about it, entitled What on Earth is Going On at Schalke? I'll be honest, there are loads more awards, but I don't want to bore you all to death with a 25-minute ramble, so I'll try to start a bit of a quick-fire round. The COVID-19 award for the biggest pain in the arse in football for 2020 goes to stupid offside decisions that clearly aren't offside. If you have to draw a load of different lines and it takes you 3 minutes to call a decision, you can never be sure, and it's obviously too close to call. Give the benefit of the doubt to the forward and give it as a goal. Obviously, that award is exclusive to on-pitch issues, otherwise the biggest pain has been not being able to attend games, even if I didn't miss much at the KCOM Stadium towards the back end of last season. The Peter Crouch Award for punching above their weight in 2020 has to go to Eibar, who would be a strong contender to win that award for the last 5 years in a row. What Eibar have achieved in winning promotion to La Liga and staying there season after season is simply astounding, but I will be brief since that's another subject that I'd love to cover in a documentary in the not too distant future. The Julian Faubert Award for the strangest transfer of 2020 goes to Wolves signing Nelson Semedo. On the one hand, Semedo is a Portuguese international, so him signing for Wolves makes perfect sense. On the other hand, selling Matt Doherty for £14.7 million and signing Semedo for £28 million upfront, with the potential of that fee rising to £37 million subject to add-ons, just seems financially illiterate to me. Both players carry a threat going forwards, whilst being liabilities at times in the opposite direction. Better the devil you know as far as I'm concerned, especially when the devil you don't could cost you £22 million more and is only a year younger. Very strange, but that's just my take. There's probably plenty of even weirder transfers that I'm just forgetting about now. The Donald Trump Award for refusing to accept defeat in 2020 goes to Manchester United, who have once again become the Premier League's comeback kings over the last 12 months. Renowned for their resilience under Sir Alex Ferguson, the Red Devils have rediscovered their mental strength and refusal to let themselves be beaten this season and last. And if only they could start games a bit better and be a little more consistent, they might be in with the shout challenging for the big trophies again. The Tinfoil Hat Award, sponsored by Karen on Facebook, goes to Matt Le Tissier, who has had a really tough year. Not only did he lose his job on Gillette Soccer Saturday, he also became a walking campaign for why heading should really be banned in football, showing all of the mental cognition of a goat with a brain tumour. Le Tissier reckons we're all being lied to, COVID is a hoax, and Bill Gates is trying to finger your nan, or something like that anyway. The Not Now Award, in association with Seriously, Can't You Read the Room, goes to Peter Shurton, who thought it'd be a good idea to go on TV and write a column about Diego Maradona having no sportsmanship within about 8 seconds of one of the greatest footballers of all time having just died. Nice one, Pete, you massive donut. The Logan Paul Award for the stupidest comment on a HITC Sevens video for 2020 is a tough one since I didn't collate enough of them, and they're pretty difficult to source via search. I can remember some pretty mental stuff about 9/11, and I'm pretty sure someone once claimed in 2020 that Gonzalo Higuain was better than Lionel Messi, but I can't find them now. As such, and since I do have a screenshot of this one, the title goes to Nessie, and his claim that Kevin De Bruyne is a Belgium John Joe Shelves. Cheers, Nessie. Last but not least, the Jesse Lingard Award for the most pointless thing in 2020 goes to the Globe Soccer Awards. Worthy of a documentary all of their own once I've done some more research, as far as I can tell at this stage, these are a set of awards that take place every year, basically devised and orchestrated by George Mendes, in which George Mendes is named as the Asian of the Year every year. I think he's won it something like 10 out of the 11 years that it's been running, because if you give it to Mino Raiola one year, no one will suspect a thing. Unsurprisingly, his client Cristiano Ronaldo dominates the Best Player of the Year award with 6 successes since it started in 2011. Meanwhile, Lionel Messi has only won 1, the same number as another of Mendes' clients, Radamel Falcao. The most stupid award ceremony on earth, a Globe Soccer Award, is less prestigious than a football content award, and the whole thing is about as corrupt as the country in which the events are hosted. What a complete farce, and what a perfect way to end a video all about a farcical year that was 2020. Thank you all for watching, let's hope 2021 is a blast. I doubt it though, some idiot will probably eat another bat, the NHS will be disbanded, the polar ice caps will melt, and the Alams will still own Hull City. I think I need to lie down. Hit the like button if you enjoyed today's video, comment if you think that I need therapy, and make sure to like and subscribe to the 10-time Globe Soccer Award-winning best YouTube channel on the planet that is HITC Sevens. Oh, and you can also find me on Twitter or LinkedIn, not LinkedIn, just Twitter or Instagram via the username at HITC Sevens, should you wish to do so. I am on LinkedIn, but, I don't use it much.